Oh, we are not muted.
Hello and welcome. My name is Tom.
And I'm Heather.
And you're sitting at the Couples Table.
The Couples Table is a live stream podcast here on the channel. Join us for better or worse,
for richer or poorer,
in sickness and in health.
For episode 150.
For episode 150. Oh, I don't have the air horns on here. Here, wait. Oh, let's go. Tom is going to check the audio really quick. Because this is how we check the audio.
Hey, I think that works.
Yay, awesome.
Because it doesn't matter if you do a live stream and you don't change anything from stream to stream. Sometimes stuff can still not be consistent. And then
exactly,
because of me, we tend to change things between every stream also. So it compounds potential issues. But I think things are good.
Things are good.
I think so.
Here we are.
Let me listen as you talk.
Okay, so he's going to listen while I talk. Here's one thing that's different. We have Tom's chair in here because if you can't tell, I'm going to lift my microphone really quick.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is technically Tom's chair, but Finley has accosted the chair because it's his favorite chair. And he really wants to be in that chair all the time. So we just brought it in here, and here he is.
Yeah, I thought it was like something special about my office that made him so comfortable.
No, it's the chair.
It's the chair.
Look at him. He's so cute.
He's never in here like the whole time we do the show because he always ends up in my office in the chair.
He goes to Tom's office.
It's not because he doesn't want to be in here. It's because of the chair. IKEA office chair, baby.
Anyway, let's check in really quick. Oh, no coffee in the house. Nice thumbnail, you two. Audio hotline is here. Hello. And Sean Grogan in the house. Hey.
Groggy.
Well, it is episode 150, Tom.
Crazy.
150 episodes we've done.
150.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's almost 200.
No, it's not, but it's a lot. Melanie is here. Happy Friday. Don is here. Smart dog. He is a very smart dog.
Who's Joe? What's up, Joe?
Hi, Heather and Tom. New subscriber from Florida who is new to both of your channels. First time catching live stream. Congrats on 150 episodes.
Thanks, Joe. I showed you a comment from Joe yesterday.
Yes, Tom screenshotted that one.
He said nice things about Heather's channel.
Well, both of us.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really nice.
So, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's up? What are we doing to start off?
Well, we have a segment.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Is it a segue to a segment?
It is. We are going to be doing the gear of the week, where Tom and I talk about one piece of gear that we think is cool.
Yeah, and I may have gone a little bit extra.
He went
week.
extra. So I went easy. Actually, can you give me the remote? I've mentioned this before, But when Tom and I redesigned my office, he put a lot of my video lights on a remote. So basically, there's like, this is a 3-button one. So there's 3 box things that you put in an outlet, and then you plug the video light into that, and then it connects to one of these numbers. And then basically, you instead of going around and pushing power off and on, you could just use the remote. So I can turn off I believe these are my video lights. Boom. And then turn them back on, or the lights behind us in the background, we turn those off and turn them back on with the push of a button, and it's just awesome. So Tom has a link to the one that you use, but yours has more channels.
Yeah, so this one that you have, this is actually from Home Depot, and it was for Christmas lights. So so it's kind of cool. The boxes are like big and heavy duty. Each little box has 2 outlets, which is really nice, but there's only 3 of them. The one I have, each box only has 1 outlet, but there's 5 of them.
You have 5 channels, yeah.
And you're using yours for video lights, which is what I use a lot of mine for, but obviously it could be anything. A lot of AV gear, like for example, the Blackmagic A10 Mini, they don't have power buttons, and so it's just kind of on all the time
until you unplug it.
Until you unplug it, either from the wall or from the device itself. So like whenever I'm using my A10, I always have it running through one of these, so that way I can just turn it on and off without having to mess with anything. So it's not just, it's anything that plugs in. And sometimes people have also talked about like smart plugs and things that can hook into like smart home devices, and you can be voice command, which is also awesome. But there's something to be said for like, it's just a button.
The push of a button.
It's like as close to mechanical as you can get.
Yeah. So there's a link in the description for the one that Tom has, the 5-channel one. Yeah,
this was the Home Depot special like 6 years ago. So
yeah,
it's hard to find that exact one.
But that is
they're all kind of similar.
Gear of the week.
Okay. I'm jumping in.
You went to a place. Tom went to a place.
I went to a little place. Actually, Sony loaned me a camera.
Sony loaned you a camera.
And it's not a new camera.
It is not a new camera.
So it's not like, hey, it's the biggest, latest, and greatest, but they loaned me the Sony ZV-E10.
Got it.
Which has been out for 2.5 years, I think, at this point, maybe 3 years. And actually, it looks probably a little bit bigger than it is. The camera itself is very small. I think a lot of people watching this probably have a ZV-E10. I don't have one, but I recommend it a lot. I've used them, and they're great. I would love to get one of my own, maybe even a couple of our own one day, because this is an awesome studio camera. It's an awesome camera, period. But it's also a really great studio camera because, well, actually, I have an example.
Oh.
So Sony loaned me the camera, and then B&H loaned this lens, which is the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens.
That's the one you would put on it.
So that's the one I would recommend. It comes with a lens, a 16 to 50mm lens, which is like a good all-purpose lens. Like, it's going to immediately look better than any webcam. But if you want to take things to the next step, I have some sample footage. The reason for it, we're not necessarily only looking at quality, but there's a couple things I want to point out here. Okay. This was a little comparison I edited together this morning.
All right, we're going to
see if it'll work.
Roll the tape.
So this is the Sony ZV-E10. Actually, if it's paused, could you pause it right there? Nope. There it goes. It's paused. Okay. So Finley's in the background. So basically, I just had a tiny tripod on the floor and put this here. But the thing I wanted to look at, and the reason I used this shot, was I wanted to look at the background blur and also how wide the shot is.
Okay.
So there's like the Bob's Burgers figurine in the middle, super clear. Finley and my tool chest are in the background. They're blurred out. So you have some nice shallow depth of field. This is f1.4. You can press play on the thing right there. And it looks great. Like, the colors look great. The exposure's good. This is 4K. And this right here, this next shot, is actually my Sony FX3. And the framing moved a little bit, which I'll talk about in a second, or the subject moved a little bit. But this is my Sony FX3, which is my main camera. This looks like a still image, but it is video. And kind of the same thing. Looking at the subject, this is what I use to film all my videos, and everything like that. And then I did a little side-by-side right here. So this is why I think the Sony ZV-E10 plus the Sigma 16 is really cool. And a lot of you probably already know this. In this shot, ignore the fact that the figurine is not framed the same, because the cameras are different sizes. So even though I put them on the same tripod, the FX3 was just taller because it's a bigger camera. But if you look at the framing, it's pretty much identical. Like you can see on the left-hand side, you can see sort of the leg of my desk and a little space. On the right-hand side, you can start to see a little bit of the drum stool in the top corner there. You can see like not quite the top of the red tool chest. Essentially the framing, like the wideness of the shot is pretty much identical. Now both of these lenses are f1.4. The FX3 is using the Sony 24. The ZV-E10 is using the Sigma 16 at f1.4. But and they look, for all intents and purposes, are the same. If you look at the Sony, you can see, if you look at the silver stripes, the handles on my workbench, they're slightly more blurry than the handles on the ZV-E10. So there's a little more background blur there. But the reason for that, I don't know how to get back to us. I guess I can just do this one here. There we go. The reason for that is because we are talking about, this is a crop sensor camera and this is a full frame camera. I know we're going into gear territory here.
Wow, the thing is so much bigger.
Yes. So I have a lot of things to share here. So first thing, let's be very careful here. Here's my Sony FX3. I always hate having the lens off, but you can see the sensor in there, the shiny part, the camera sensor, how big that is.
Do you need help?
Dusty's on there. No, I wanted to show this. And here is the Sony ZV-E10, a crop sensor camera. You can see how the size of that sensor. Okay, yeah. So very, very different. Full frame crop sensor. That's the difference. That's what that means. The full frame sensor is the same size as a 35 millimeter piece of film from like the old school days. And crop sensor is smaller. The crop sensor, even though it's smaller, way bigger than the sensors here, which are like a fraction of the size of like your pinky nail pretty much. So bigger sensor, better image quality, better low light performance, more background blur, all that stuff. The reason that I think this is cool, and maybe I can pop this back up, is in this case, even though there's a big difference between these cameras, like in terms of features and things they can do and usability, if you're looking at streaming, talking head videos, podcast type stuff,
pretty much
the same.
identical.
I think you could just say it looks the same.
Yeah.
But check this out. I did some figures.
Oh, he did figures.
I ran some numbers. The Sony ZV-E10.
Yeah.
This camera. There is a Mark II that just came out, which is like $1,000 or $1,100 and has some cool features. The original one, though, is actually currently on sale for $600.
Oh.
It's the least expensive camera I recommend from any manufacturer. It's normally $700 for just the camera, $800 for the lens. So it's $100 off right now, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
At least at B&H it is. And that's just for the camera. The Sigma lens itself is $450. So that means camera and lens. Currently, if you get that sale, it's $1,050. If you get it full price, normally it's $1,150 for this whole setup. And you have something that is comparable with this setup here.
Okay.
The reason I think that's cool, $1,000 is not no dollars. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
This camera.
This rig.
This camera.
Oh, just the
is
camera.
$3,900.
Ooh.
This lens is $1,400. So that's the total of $5,300 for this right here.
What is that difference?
That difference is about, depending on if you get the sale or not sale, but up to $4,200.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't see a $4,200 difference.
No, in image quality,
I don't see a $42.
We're using a wider lens. This is 24. This is 16 because those sensors make lenses look different. So this 16 millimeter lens is very equivalent to this 24 millimeter lens, full frame versus crop. Image quality wise, in a controlled studio environment, virtually no difference.
Right. Where if you're gonna go out,
where you will notice a difference is if you need other stuff. I mean, the build quality, the usability. This has a fan inside of it. Like I could take it out here. I have. In the midst of summer, it will never overheat. There's 0 record limits. There's dual memory card slots. There's 4K 120. Like there's.
Yeah, but if you have a shot like mine where it's on the tripod, it never moves. It's just here in the studio. The prompter has never come off of it.
If you want just a good studio camera, talking head stuff, work from home video, streaming, podcasting, video calls, all that kind of stuff. For this also much smaller setup, you're going to get basically the exact same image quality that I get out of my 5.
We should try that on here.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to borrow this.
Oh, well, we should do that for the next one.
Yeah, well, because you've been talking about potentially thinking about the possibility of considering upgrading to 4K.
It's a possibility.
I'm
a little nervous about it.
There's a lot of camera options, but this is one that definitely popped into my mind as being a potential option for you. So anyway, I'm going to do a bunch of videos about this and things.
Well, I'd love to. Well, this is just on a personal note.
Yeah.
I'd love to upgrade to a setup that I can recommend, because right now I use a Canon 6D Mark II, which I don't think that's the camera we would recommend nowadays. No,
they still make it. It's a great camera, but it's a DSLR from 7 years ago. It's a full frame camera, so it looks awesome. It's not 4K. There is video autofocus, but you can't use video autofocus while you're streaming.
Yeah.
So this is a manual focus shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have it exactly perfectly lined up with
but if
where
I
we
lean out,
sit.
I go out of focus.
Yeah.
And if we move around, we don't stay in focus.
We have to make sure we're on the same plane.
So anyway, that was, wow, I don't know, 48 minutes later, that was my gear of the week segment. But I'm so excited about this little camera because it makes really great image quality so insanely accessible.
Yeah. There you go. Homesick Mac in the house. Hi, everyone. Almost missed you. We're glad you're here. Gil, happy Friday, everyone. It's an awesome studio camera. Coach, Constant, is that the old one or the new updated one?
That's the old one because there's a lot of hype around the new one, which is cool. The new one seems great. But I asked Sony specifically, like, are you discontinuing the original one? And they said no. And that made me even like it more because now we're seeing it on sale a little bit. It's like, it's even a better deal.
So what's the $500 difference?
Between the new one? I think the new one does have a better sensor. It does have a different body, so like some of the controls and things are different. It has, which sounds hokey, but is actually pretty cool, like AI framing and stuff. So it can.
Okay.
It's pretty sweet. Like it has a lot of the features that Sony's like $3,000 and up dollar cameras have, but in a $1,100 camera. It's a very cool update. But the original still kicks butt.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the use case that is so common that you're talking about.
Yeah, and a cool thing too, like in your case, you would set it up and never move it.
Never.
But if you're someone who doesn't have multiple cameras or whatever, the cool thing is like it is a camera. That's why. What's an advantage of a camera over webcam? It's a camera. You could unplug it and then take it out into the world.
Of course.
And the other thing I forgot to mention with this Sigma lens, it's just like my prime lens in that the front doesn't rotate, which means it works with the Elgato prompter. Because some lenses zoom in and out or the front twist. And you can use them with the prompter, but it's a little trickier.
Yeah.
This one you can just hang the prompter right off the lens. And it's good to go.
All right, call me Cubby. Happy 150th. Thanks for being here. Morty, hi, and happy 150th.
Oh, Morty's the one who sent this lens.
There you go.
Thanks, Morty.
Mr. Camera Junkie in the house. Hey, everyone. So, is Heather changed to Sony now? Buy Canon? Well, the other thing is, like,
Not really.
I want to... So, the reason why I was even thinking about it at all, I don't want to bother with 4K because storage is something... Like, I think that's the biggest change with going from a 1080 to 4K workflow is the storage because of files. Sure. And then, like, what do you mean, sure? Isn't that true? That's not true? There's variables. It's weird because the 4K files out of, like, this camera, my other Sony cameras, are the same size as my 1080 files for my Canon EOS R. That doesn't make any sense.
Because I was using the highest quality 1080 that EOS R could do, which was bigger files. And with the Sony, I don't actually have to use the highest quality 4K. I can use slightly more compressed files and still get amazing quality, and they're the same file size.
Okay, well,
but
I take the recordings of like the couples table. That 3-4 gig file is now going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
huge.
Well, you record through Ecamm, so it won't be as big as if you're recording natively in the camera because Ecamm works a little magic in there too.
But the other thing is, like, obviously as someone who helps other people with their YouTube channels, I definitely want to use a setup that I can recommend.
Someone could go out and buy it.
Yeah, but the reason why I haven't like changed the setup is because I don't need to change the setup. This looks great.
Yeah.
Like
it's a testament to what lighting does because your setup, like composition, lighting, design, that's a bigger difference than 1080 to 4K.
I don't think this is me being stubborn, but I like the fact that we're using things until they're broken, right?
Yes.
Like if it's not broke, you don't need the newest thing, you don't need the shiniest thing or the most expensive thing. It's like, it's a 7-year-old camera. Probably no one else has this setup.
It's a great camera. I mean, that's when I took to Iceland, did a bunch of stuff with it. It does. The HDMI port's a little funky. Sometimes the colors go all
weird,
acid trippy, but Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, but I do, if someone were to be like, what's your setup? I always say, here's my setup, but
well, I
here's
mean,
what I
to
would
be fair, that's
recommend.
the same thing I do, because they say, what's your setup? And I say, well, it's the Sony FX3 and this lens. I'm like, but if all you want is a talking headshot that looks like this,
Got it.
just get this. So even though I don't currently own one of these cameras, I still recommend it like crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's a way more practical solution than what I actually use for most people.
Yeah. I had just, so how much was this setup?
This one?
Yeah.
1050.
Yeah. See, so as someone who has a setup that is great,
Do you want to spend an
justify
extra $1,000?
1050? Yeah. Like it doesn't, there's no.
There needs to be, if you hit a point where you absolutely want 4K, then you should get this. If you hit a point where you absolutely want autofocus, although, see, I don't know, this is where I need to I don't think this camera has it. Some Sony cameras have a thing called breathing compensation. So how the lens pulses in and out when it's autofocusing, they fix it so it doesn't do that. So my camera, even though it's autofocus,
Okay, so first of all,
that.
when we went to NAB, Audio Hotline will know what I'm talking about. When Audio Hotline was filming, so it was the three of us. We were hanging out at NAB. We were basically like the crew. And whenever Tom needed us to record something, it would be either me or Audio Hotline behind the camera. And when Audio Hotline was holding the camera, he stood still. And when I was holding the camera, I was doing the vlog style, kind of adding movement, and it was boom.
That wasn't the focus though.
Oh.
That was the image. I had the active image stabilization turned on, so it was giving this warbly thing.
Yeah, it was warbly.
That wasn't autofocus. The autofocus is if we turn on autofocus here, especially the Christmas lights in the background, you would kind of see them poop, poop, poop. You might even see the edge of the frame kind of pulse in and out a little bit. That's just as the focus is moving. Some Sony cameras combined with some lenses can eliminate that. I don't think this has that though, unfortunately. But also,
again, if you
yeah, the beauty though is this is a wide lens on a crop sensor camera, so chances are when we try it out on your setup, it could not even be an issue.
Okay, so stay tuned for the episode 151 of the Couple Stable.
Which will be with this.
We'll use that.
And the other cool thing too, which is helpful, is lots of cameras have this, but this was one of the first Sony cameras to have product showcase mode. So it can kind of detect.
Mine has that.
Yeah, your ZV-1 I think was the first one. But what that means is, and it's nice with a lens like this, it kind of knows when you're holding something up. So for me, I'm always and then I try to focus it. Yeah, you don't have to do that thing. You can just hold something up. It will know you're holding something up, focus on it till you go, and it's really quick. And right now we can't. If I want to show you this because we're on manual focus.
This is why we use NDI on here.
So
because there's no focus.
So there are advantages like that, but
yeah.
I do like that your setup is, I mean, you're using an Amazon Basics tripod.
$30, yo, and it's gotten, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how much money that $30 has made.
I mean, the tripod that was taken out of the box, set right there, and has really
Never
not moved
moves.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
That's cool. If you were taking that in and out of cars and breaking it up, tearing it down, it would have fallen apart years ago. But
totally.
It doesn't matter because that's not what you're doing with it.
Exactly. Let's see. Morty, I would love to know if the Elgato Pronto works with that lens. I know it's a 24 millimeter equivalent, but you use it with your 24 millimeter.
I'm guessing Morty asked that before I mentioned it because it do.
Does a ZV-10 first gen have a 10-bit codec? I don't know what any of this means, but Morty is responding, nope, unfortunately not. I had the original and it was phenomenal, but upgraded to the 6700.
Yeah.
10-bit. Coach Constance, I'd love to hear more about the Elgato Prompter 2. Think about buying one, but I already have the Glide one.
I had the Glide one too. They're honestly, it's not. They're both prompters in name, but they're not the same. I mean, if the Glide one's working for you and you don't mind the tablet or phone setup, then you're probably good to go. But if you're not liking whatever app you're using, you're not liking the tablet workflow, the Elgato Prompter is, as long as it's always used near a computer, it's not even close.
Homestead back. I have a 3 foot, which would be a 1 meter of a distance between my talking head and the nearest item in my backdrop. Wondering if the 16 millimeter would do, maybe even going wider. I'm on the Sony A6700.
Okay, so 3 meters between. Okay, that'd be
1 meter.
1 meter. Yeah, sorry, 3 feet. 1 meter between
him and the background.
In the background. I can't use this camera. I can't show you this camera's feed. But I can tell you I'm getting some decent background blur. I mean, it looks... Sorry, I'm looking at the wall back there, which is about a meter away. And I'm using Heather's microphone as the subject.
Oh.
And it looks... I mean, you can kind of see it looks pretty.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
I don't know of a wider. There must be like a 14 or a 12 or something, but I like the Sigma because it's a great lens. And well, I like my 24, and it's the closest thing on a crop.
Gil says, I highly recommend the ZV-E10, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, like the A6700 is like a huge upgrade in terms of build quality and all this other stuff, but it's also not twice as expensive, but maybe 2/3 more. Like
Freddie always, I agree with her. If it works, don't fix it. I see myself staying with the A7.
Yeah, A7 IV
for a very long time.
It's like Final Fantasy X. It's like the 4.
What day did you sign up? Do you remember the day you?
No, because it doesn't tell me.
You just don't remember
for Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. It was so random. It was like last Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, we're just like, we need to talk about that. All right, Morty says, it's such a crazy value proposition. Mark 1, Mark 2. Jason Morris just did a video on 8-bit versus 10, but which was cool to see the difference, but also how the YouTube compression might affect things. Oh.
Yeah, so 8-bit versus 10-bit is interesting. It has to do with color. My EOS R was an 8-bit camera. My Sonys are 10-bit cameras. It doesn't sound like much. It's like 2 bits. Who cares, you know?
Yeah, but
what it means is
that's 20%.
Well, what it means though is the amount of color, essentially the amount of color in the footage that the sensor and the camera can process is like, I forget what it's in the order of magnitudes of like tens of millions different shades of color that suddenly show up. And so if you ever see those things that happen where like you have something, I don't know, sometimes it's like a solid color, or maybe even something like your background here where it's like a gradient of a color and you notice like banding.
Yes.
That's essentially because it can't fill in the gaps between those shades of color. If you're using 10-bit, there's so much more color data that now you're gonna have a smooth thing. It's something I didn't notice until I started cutting between the EOS R and the Sony A7S III when I got it. And it took me like 6 months of cutting back and forth before I really was like, now I need to get a second Sony. So it wasn't like instantly I noticed it, but over time you're like, wow, I like this.
Ernesto, hi Tom and Heather, happy Friday. Hey. 150 episodes on Amazon Basics tripod.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I think we started the couples table in your room.
No, yeah, actually we started in the kitchen. So the first one was on like I don't know, a Joby Gorilla Pod or something.
Yeah.
Because that was yeah.
We don't even have episode. Wow, we have like hella missing
Go
episodes.
to podcasts, maybe. Sorry.
I think we didn't relist them.
Right. Yeah, so it started in our kitchen.
Oh, here, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, couples table 01. It was down at the bottom there.
Okay, let me see if I can share. Can we screen share?
Oh, that's not the first. That's the first couples table. I guess 0 was the wedding reception episode.
Oh. Okay, so here's this.
Oh,
This is.
There we go. Oh, we're using the Yeti.
Wow.
Because the Yeti is what we used on the one in the kitchen. It was just easier to get 2 people.
June 9th, 2020. Just
over 4 years ago. So we had been married for, oh my goodness.
Not even a month.
We had Finley, that guy back there, for not even a month. Yeah, and first one we did was at the kitchen counter on the day we got married.
Yeah.
Then we were like, oh, we should do a regular podcast.
1 month of marriage? How goes it?
This is episode 2, yeah.
Yeah, see, now we're in your room.
And now we have 2 mics. So we quickly updated that.
Is this a glass of wine? In the frame? Oh, boy.
That looks great, though. There's the EOS R kicking butt.
That's your 2020 haircut.
I gave myself that haircut. Which doesn't look that different than the haircut I have right now.
Losing everything to become our true selves. Gosh, how dramatic.
That is very dramatic. But yeah, we started in my room, and I was still... Oh, look, it's the old Coke Zero cans when they were...
Oh, my gosh.
They were black instead of red. We started in my room, and I was still teaching at the time, too. So... I'm trying to think of the time frame here. Yeah, so we would do this like after work, and sometimes we did it on Thursdays.
Look at our 4th episode. Are we having kids?
A lot of times I would have to come home from work because even though it was a pandemic, I was still teaching online from my classroom. So I would come home from work and we'd dive in at like 4 p.m. I think is when we did it. And it was in my studio because I had more stuff.
Yeah.
And I was running it on my computer, and I was starting to get so like coming in from work, doing this, jumping in. I was getting so overwhelmed with like running the tech things. You're like, let's do it in my office.
For some reason, Tom thought that he had to be in charge.
I don't know.
And then I was like, I got this.
Yeah, it's like, you run Ecamm, you change the things, you monitor stuff, I'll show up.
Yeah, that was the thing, because Tom was getting so stressed out. And I think, especially back then, you've come a long way when it comes to live streams. You put a lot of pressure on yourself back then, where everything had to be perfect.
Right.
And
Yeah.
This time
That's
I was
definitely
like,
not the case
let
now.
me do the production. Just sit. Okay? Just sit and talk. And that's why we moved.
I'm just checking an audio
He's just
thing.
checking.
I want to be perfect.
See,
yeah.
look at that. Oh, boy. Okay. Let's see. Homesick back. Thank you for testing it, Tom. Appreciate it. I was thinking of 11 millimeter on a crop sensor, also because I like to grab my whole guitar as well.
What was the question?
Homesick back right here.
I was thinking of 11 millimeter crop sensor because I was like, grab the whole. Yeah. If your 11 millimeter has good autofocus, and I can't remember if using the prompter or not in your current setup, but if the front doesn't rotate, like my 50 millimeter lens, I posted a story, and it's actually my gear highlight on my Instagram page. But like the other day, I was using my 50 millimeter lens with the prompter, the Sony 51.8, which does the front of it turns when it focuses and stuff, so you can't put the prompter on it. So I put the prompter on its own little tripod, like in front of my camera, and kind of like, kiss and like push them together. And it worked. But I wouldn't want to do that all the time. It's a pain.
MCJ says, once you see it, you can't unsee it. 10-bit.
That's true.
Level up Mike. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, y'all. Coach Constance, you have the honeymoon glow going on. So sweet. Well, actually, back then, it was more of like puppy insomnia.
Exhaustion, yeah.
But
we were happy to be married. Like, we were so excited,
sure.
yeah.
We got Finley 2 days after we got married. And he was 10 weeks old. So.
8 weeks old.
Oy. Juice. How much time did you dedicate to pre-live stream today versus when you started?
Well, I came in here 8 minutes before the stream started.
Well, okay, so to be fair, when we first started, it was a lot. I think like it was at least weighing on us that day. Like we were,
and I was still working, so I was at work.
Yeah, you were thinking
stuff.
about it. Yeah. And we were at the point, obviously, where a lot of things were changing. Yeah, we were running things through the Roadcaster. Everything was just more complicated than it had to be. Then the couples table took a break, too, for a long time.
That was more recent, though.
Yeah. Well, then we got to the point where, because it was in my room, literally, turn everything on, boom, let's go. Recently, since we've been trying to level things up, there's a few days that go into, okay, let's try to figure out what we're going to be talking about. We're doing the Gear of the Week segment now and stuff like that. So,
and went like more other segments too. And
yeah. Like Tom had to make that video to show you. So it's taking more time now. But in terms of like, if we needed to do a show, it's just sit and push go live.
Yeah. I mean, a big thing with Heather's setup is like, turnkey, like, yeah, and that is what I'm trying to do with my desk in my room. Also,
we have to shout out all the audio podcast folks who listen to us every week. We've got the audio, so the audio workflow has been passed on to me
because I am not good at it.
So I promise I will not miss a week.
We are up to date.
We're up to date, and yeah, I'm gonna do it right after the show. Like, so the other thing that got plugged into our couple stable workflow is we're gonna go to Handles and get some ice cream after the stream, but we're not gonna do that until I finish the audio upload. So see, it all fits in. Let's see, my A7 IV will probably be my main talking head camera for a while.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I see people talking about live streams, like Mike says he spends an hour on streaming and stuff. If I'm doing like a regular stream, depending on what it is, it could be more, could be less. So like couples table is pretty quick, but
because my setup never changes. The setup is this, like what mic is Tom using today, and then the rest of the setup is like what we're talking about.
Yeah, In my room, though, what I'm trying to do, my desk, I'm trying to kind of copy your setup and have that be, which is where that's where I would want this.
Got it.
Is at my desk, where then it never moves, because currently I have that, except I don't have a permanent camera over there. So I do have to put up a camera, set it up, put the prompter on it and stuff. But once I get that figured out, then my desk, which isn't like my favorite angle or anything, but it's a great work desk, and then it is just like turn on the camera, go live.
Yeah.
Everything, there's already a mic there, there's already everything else. And then if I want to do something extra, if I want to set up multiple angles, do all that, then I have the whole other like rest of my office to build out a thing.
Yeah. So you have one
I have both
stationary.
options. Yeah. And that's actually awesome.
Bronson's got to be over an hour of prep.
Oh my God.
Does Bronson do a regular live stream?
Nothing about him is regular.
Coach Constance, are you doing writing networks anymore? I'm getting a dead page when I go to the site. I'm getting a unsupported protocol page. They are rolling out lots of new features. Plenty of peeps would pay. So we sunset our Mighty Network. And the reason being is because I think the thing that we didn't realize, well, I don't know, one of the things I didn't realize is like when you start a community, it's kind of just goes on forever. Where I think like doing something with a set timeline, whether it's like 3 months or 6 months or something, is just something that I could wrap my head around, versus it's just never ending thing for the next 10 years or something like that. And then also when we went to NAB this year, we kind of wanted to do a different type of community. So we were going to launch that and kind of like merge and combine. We kind of never did. And I can't really explain why.
I don't know. Things change.
Yeah.
It just sort of depends. Things change. I don't know how to put it.
I mean, I think like we will. So if you want to do some kind of community, the place to do that is Tom's membership. He has a Patreon. You could do Patreon or you could do YouTube memberships. And then you also have the AV.
Well, both of those get you access to my old school PHPBB message board.
Yeah.
Which is
full of awesome peeps.
It's full of awesome, but it's also like, it's really not that busy. There's no algorithms. I think you can get notifications, people reply to your posts, but it's literally like the expectation is not immediate thing. I think that's a thing too when you have a community that's ongoing, and it's like it's sort of like constant and immediate.
Yeah.
The message board is like there's zero expectation of that. That's not what it's designed for at all for anybody. It's like you can check it once, I mean every couple of days, like just like, oh, what's happening over here?
It's
cool.
Like a forum.
You can literally get caught up and be done with it and move on. And that is very intentional, because I want it to be a thing that goes on for a long time. It's been over a year now.
Yeah.
And I also do want it to be a cool database, because it's searchable and it's all threaded, and it's old school message boards, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
And so I like that quite a bit, and it is a really fun place to hang out. But it's very, very like low key and not crazy busy and stuff.
Yeah. Did I hear a diss on the Rodecaster Pro? No longer using. No, not at all.
Heather has no interest in having one. I have 3.
I will line in the sand. I never want a Rodecaster. That's a personal choice from someone who just wants everything super simple, who 95% of the time I'm in here, I use the one microphone at the same volume level for my voice only, so I never have to tinker with anything. And that's just my philosophy overall with everything, which is why the tripod hasn't moved in years. The camera hasn't moved in years. As soon as the prompter went on there, I just don't move it. I don't move the lights. I come in here, I push these buttons, and I push record or go live, and that's it. That is very different from the way that Tom does it. He rebuilds his setup every single time, but there's no right or wrong. But that's why I like that we have such different approaches, because it really is about your preferences, the kind of content that you're creating.
Because I really like, okay, what's this video going to be about? what makes sense? Like, does
Yours
it make
is so visual, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but does it make sense? Like, would it make sense to shoot into the direction where you see like a computer setup in the background? Does it make sense to shoot like when I do microphone reviews and headphone things or whatever? I kind of include more of the guitars and the audio stuff in the background.
Ben is chewing a bone against the desk leg, so if you hear, actually, I'll show you. Ready?
So I try to figure that out. I try to figure out, like, should I be sitting? Should I be standing? I'm trying to get this over here. And there we go. Nope.
Oh, you gotta lock the scene.
Oh.
Or no, it's not locked.
Nope. It just doesn't work.
I don't know. I'll fix it.
Oh, that's right. We had to do something over here last time. It was weird. But
I still have to delete Ecamm and reinstall.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was talking about. Doesn't matter.
You set up every shot intentionally.
Yeah. Depending on what each video needs.
Yeah.
Like, and do I need an overhead? Do I not need an overhead? That can be kind of a pain.
But the thing with your channel is that you use you show a lot of physical products, and for me, like, okay, a lot of my videos are talking head or screen shares. Like, I'm talking about how to do something in Canva, or I'm streaming a video game or something like that. You don't
hold a thing usually.
Yeah,
physically.
It's all conceptual, it's all digital. It's not something I could be like, here's this. So, having a second angle is not something that I need. All of my production stuff is like digital.
Yeah, you're way more
like
digital
Ecamm overlays and stuff like that. Jose, what is your top 3 favorite parts of your equipment?
I'm curious about this for you.
My top 3 favorite parts of my equipment. Well, okay. I love how everything is. I love that there's no setup or teardown. That like, I think having done YouTube for 8 years in all kinds of rooms and setups and different environments and stuff like that, a big barrier to entry for me was having to set up every single time. And then also, is dealing with recording at different times of the day when the sun is your main light source. It's so nice in here because I can do a stream at night or I can do a video in the middle of the day, and you would not be able to tell on camera aside from probably my energy levels, but like you shouldn't visually see anything different. So no setup and no teardown. 3 favorite parts of my equipment. I don't know what the other ones would be.
I was thinking of like pieces of equipment, but I like that like all the equipment comes together to create that setup that you just discussed.
Yeah. I also, actually, I don't know if this is true, but I do like that things are not the newest and shiniest thing. Yeah. Like like my Amazon Basics tripod. I just, in a world where gear is leveling up every 3 months.
Yeah.
I like that I like that I can say it goes to show it's not about having the newest thing. Oftentimes what I have found that it's not the one piece of gear that's, gonna change everything or stopping you. Yeah. There are things like, of course, if you're recording on this and then you get a camera, huge level up. But I think that, I've definitely law
of diminishing returns. Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
Like I've been guilty of this where it's like you feel like you need that one thing and it's going to change everything, and it's like, sometimes I feel like it's more of an excuse than anything. And then let's see. I think also, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I feel like we're at the point where our setups are so customized for our needs.
Yeah, you can't copy and paste. I mean, even between us, like we can't copy and paste my setup to you, your to me. But also, that's a good example of like when people say like, oh, what do you have? Like, let me just load up my B&H cart with all your stuff. It's like,
do not do that.
Don't do that. Like bits by bits, let your needs. What I always tell people, despite the fact that I know people say like, you cost me a lot of money. I like gear. I like talking about gear, but I always tell people start with what you have and then upgrade as your specific needs become apparent, because we're going to have totally different needs for different things. And, like even in here, Heather's using the Vocaster 2 as her audio interface. If we didn't do this show and I didn't record any,
I would not be using that.
You would not be using that. You don't need 2 inputs. The Streamer X would be a way better option, because that's going to handle your audio and your video in one small, cool-looking thing.
I forgot to mention this, but one thing that I
Yeah.
did do this week is I upgraded my tools page on my website. So if you go to heatherjustcreate.com/tools, I have a list of every single piece of gear in my studio. Cameras, tripods, all my streaming stuff, even the desk that I use, green screens, the lighting, all the decorative stuff that I've added recrecently, the cable management.
This is very up to date.
And then all the software that I use.
Put the Nazi Walks on there?
I did put the Nazi Walks on there. So if you're ever curious about the stuff that I use, it's at heatherjustcreate.com/tools. I think there's a link in the description also.
That is awesome. Those kinds of tool pages look simple. They're not simple to put together, especially if you're doing what Heather did and what I've done on mine too, which is like you have an actual description for each item that explains why you use it and how you use it. It's not just like, here's a bunch of stuff and you figure out how you use it, but it's like, this is why I use this lens. This is why I use this tripod.
Yeah.
This is why blah, blah, blah. And yours is written very like personably and...
Well, I want to catch up with the comments, but I also want to know what your favorite 3 parts of your equipment are.
I'm just going to list 3 things. The Elgato prompter is like the biggest one in the past year for me. Like that has been the biggest game changer. I can't say enough good things about that. I love a lot of my gear. So obviously like my Rodecaster is special to me. My FX3 is my main camera. How could I not love that? A thing that has been popping up though lately, this microphone right here.
Yeah.
The Rode NT1
You have
Signature
Does you have
series.
like many colors?
I have 4 black ones and this blue one. No, 3 black ones and a blue one.
Okay. I think I've seen them with different
The Rode
windscreens on.
NT1 was my very first condenser mic, the older one from some number of years ago. I never used a condenser mic before. I got it and I loved it. And Rode has kind of like updated the series over the years, but earlier this year, they came out with colored. It's a signature series. It's like a sort of simplified version, slightly updated, but they come in different colors. They have purple and red and green and blue and all these cool colors. And I got the blue one, of course, and I just bought it. It's not like a sponsored thing or anything. And I really love it. And it's funny because I literally do have the same microphone in black. And I use this one a lot because it's blue.
Because it's blue.
But it goes, I mean, you have the custom colorware MV7 right here. And having a piece of gear that you're excited about, like I use this microphone more and I want to use it more because I'm excited about it. And honestly, just 'cause I like the way it sounds. It's a great mic, but because it's blue, like I like it.
I mean, I painted my wall purple.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a fun, like it makes audio more fun to me.
Homesick Mac, my guitar playing live streams had a week of preps, an hour here and there, but surely 5 to 6 hours for practicing the content, then graphics, etc. Not bragging, just different sort of live stream.
Yeah, it's like teaching a class. You're like prepping for a class.
Yeah, you're basically putting together a curriculum, and then performing live. Own a coffee. I'm interested in creators forum where the participants are more experienced than myself, a place where we can exchange experiences. The forum I'm in is mostly beginners, so I find that I am unable to leave my cues answered because they tend to be a little bit more advanced. I think that's a little bit...
that's that middle area that we were talking about a lot.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why... it's one of the reasons why we kind of sunsetted Just Create More, because we found that a lot of people who were joining, not that we don't want to help people. I'm a YouTube coach. I've got the YouTube huddle up. Tom's channel is all about helping you level up your audio video. But in terms of a community, especially coming back from NAB, we really wanted to create a space where we felt it was like, the people in it are in this creator middle class that I've talked about many times. We've talked about many times. People who are not necessarily where it's full time, but at least it's generating income. Have put in a couple years,
right?
Just so it's more of like a colleague versus a mentor-mentee situation.
Yeah, that's a hard thing, and also like there's nothing wrong with
because we have that.
But sometimes too, when there's a group of beginners, it can be hard to figure out who is committed and who it's the shiny new object of the month.
Yes,
and both are fine, but if you move past that phase, it can be, you can feel a little bit stuck. So audio
hotline preps a little bit. Mark Redder, how do you How do your energy levels how do you keep your energy levels up during hour-long live streams? What is the recipe for an hour-long extravaganza? I don't know.
I mean, when you get into it on a live stream, the time flies.
Yeah. I think. So what we've found. Well, okay, I'll speak for myself. I have found that an hour is like a really good amount of time for a live stream.
Yeah.
I feel like anything less is like then just make a video. I think like anything more, unless it's like you're playing a video game or something that requires.
I'm very guilty of
I
90
feel like,
minute to 120 minutes.
Yeah, but you're answering, but you have like 200 people in the comments, so that's different. But I feel like unless you have like so for your streams it makes sense because you literally have a never-ending stream of comments that will keep the conversation going. So if you can keep the conversation going for longer than that, where it's me and you, the thing with the couples table is like we're talking about this whether the camera is on or off a lot of the times. So an hour is kind of like cool, this is like this is the conversation where we want to hear other people's perspectives, and it's a community thing versus like we were just talking about this at the kitchen table. Right. So
it's a different podcast, the kitchen table.
How would you answer that question? How do you keep up your live streams? Because
you used to not like that. How do I keep up? Wait, what?
You used to not like live streaming.
Well, so the reason that it's not that I didn't like live streaming. Like I liked streaming. What I didn't like was the pressure I was putting on myself to never have a mistake, especially because my channel is like, hey, a lot of it is let me teach you how to do stuff.
That's the thing with Tom. Yes.
And so it's like
his channel is all about let me teach you how to do audio video production. And I think you were so like, I have to have good, perfect audio video production.
The mechanic can't have a broken car, like that kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Which is why a couple of years ago, I was very conscious of making sure that nothing in any about thing or whatever says
that
I'm here to teach or I'm an expert or whatever. Regardless of what my actual experience is, I want to approach it all from an enthusiast perspective, which I think takes off a lot of pressure. Also, then just realizing, going back to, this just came with experience, but going back to my classroom teaching experience, admitting to my students I didn't know how to do something or make a mistake was fine. And it was often like a really good teachable moment to figure it out or to show them how to problem solve or whatever. It's the same thing on a live stream. Like if every stream I do is absolutely perfect, that's actually maybe not as helpful, at least in my niche, of like if something goes wrong and someone sees how I fix it and they're like, oh, when that thing happens on my stream, I don't know what to do to fix it, because problems happen all the time. So accepting the problems and just kind of rolling with the punches, I think I've gotten a lot better at.
Yes, definitely.
And the other thing that like always worried me was it's like, you have a lot of my streams are Q&A things, because if I have a specific topic that I want to deliver a topic about something, I get thrown off or whatever. I can get I feel like it's hard to make sure that everything I'm saying is in the right context when it's unedited and when it's live.
Yes.
So a more conversational, a question answer stream means now you're just doing tons of little snippets, essentially like little segments. Each question is its own thing. And that's a lot easier and more manageable, because I'm not trying to navigate this huge ship while other people are constantly coming and going and people are jumping in at the wrong moment.
It takes practice.
And to this day, I mean, it still happens. It happens in literally every stream. There will be, every once in a while, a couple comments that really rub me the wrong way, or, something, or it kind of throws me off my game, or maybe even I answer them in a way that I'm not happy with how I answered. Or even if I feel bad, sometimes if it's if someone's being a bit of a butt and I am a little too snarky to them, I spend the next 5 minutes on the stream while talking, worrying
should you have said that?
Yeah. And those are things you don't have to deal with when you're doing pre-recorded stuff, because it all gets edited out.
So that, and you don't have anyone.
Well, there's nobody else there.
Yeah. There's no. Yeah.
But then I've even taken it further and I've streamed me recording videos. But the streaming is fun. It's navigating all that stuff that was hard for me, and it just takes practice and personal reflection.
Yeah. Audio Hotline says, I'm going to put what Tom just said about me in my bio. Mr. Camera Junkie, every setup is as unique as you are.
Yay.
Consistent Ash, it's so good to see you. Better late than never. Can't miss out on episode 150 Extravaganza. I'm doing the same right now. Website. I ethically stole Tom's ethics statement and rewrote it.
Yes, that's what it's for.
Let's see. As a blue enthusiast, I understand.
Blue enthusiasm.
Ash is gonna change channels. Andre's here. Hi everyone. Turning in from Stockholm. An hour hurts my eyes. If it wasn't for my eyes, I'd be golden.
Oh, that's a good point. Just the physical fatigue.
Yeah. Oh man, when I used to do Final Fantasy streams, I was so wiped after.
Yeah, you would just crash.
Oh my gosh, straight to nap.
But it's funny though, because there's other streams we've both done, including the couples table, where it's like afterwards you're like, yeah,
hyper,
let's go,
hyper. I'm like amped, yeah.
So it varies depending on what you're doing. But
was hard.
The Final Fantasy one, you're trying to play a game which is complicated by itself. You're also then entertaining an audience, and you're also managing the technical workflow all as one person, while also then trying to be, on camera and charming and affable and all these things. It's like that is
that
draining
and,
a lot of status bars.
People were joining me in the game from
layers and layers of interaction.
Like they would influence what was happening in the game by saying stuff like, hey, let's meet over here in this location or whatever. So it's like Woo.
No wonder you're tired.
Yeah. Let's see. Bailey's here. Hey, everyone. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
it's good to see you. Odo Coffee says, I think it helps to actually be enthusiastic about the topic. Did 2-hour live streams today. 2-hour-long live streams today.
Oof.
And Tom's right. It's not too difficult, but you have to be into it.
Yeah. If you're into it, the time flies.
Time flies, yeah, for sure. Mike says, I tortured Bronson with a 3-hour live stream when he stands for the entire time. Still, so sorry, bro.
It's a way to burn those calories. He does a lot of standing, yeah. I've been standing a lot more, too, on my streams. Because I have a standing desk now.
I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, it's nice because then you don't feel like you've been sitting. I could always hand crank my desk down, I suppose.
Way. No. Oh my gosh. The Rio Power Room's here. Hello. Yeah, 3 hours standing, that's commitment. I feel like my legs would I would just fall. There's no way. For some reason, when Tom says his channel is to teach you how to do stuff, my head says out loud, teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. It's no big deal, Mike. I'm used to standing all day. How are you guys enjoying Final Fantasy 14? Asking the real questions.
Yeah, so I started playing that last week. I've never played an MMO before.
You've never played a Final Fantasy
an RPG
before.
Until last December. And I've never played a Final Fantasy game, and I've never played an MMO, and it is great. Level 30. What am I? 36. Level 36, baby.
Tom loves it.
I even bought this. This was my other potential gear thing. I bought an MMO mouse.
I didn't think that you were going to like it as much as you do. I don't know why.
I didn't. I never would have. You played the whole thing for ages, and I was like, it was fun to watch you play, fun to watch the videos. I was like, it's not for me. I don't even understand. There's so many numbers. It's confusing. What are you doing? I got nothing on this. But yeah, it's all the Ramirez fault because your brother gave me the Analog Pocket for Christmas last Christmas.
It was a joint
which is a little
effort.
Retro gaming handheld thing, and I played Chrono Trigger because that was your favorite game.
Stay tuned for Tombook 3, the gaming channel.
And then I dove into Earthbound, so I played all these old school RPGs, which were really fun, and then I understood how an RPG works. And then we dove into some of the Yakuza games on the PS5,
yep.
Starting with Like a Dragon, which is very RPG. It is an RPG.
It's turn-based, yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of the other ones, and then I liked that so much I ended up finding a book series that I'm reading called Jake's Magical Market, which is so good. It's a trilogy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's all just written by independent author, but it's basically a literary RPG, which I didn't know what this was. I'm just reading it. And I'm almost done with the last book, and I love the series so much. It's so incredibly good. And Heather started reading it, so I was like, "You should read this. It's a book, but it's all."
I almost dove into literary RPGs. I've heard of them before, and so when you were raving about this, I was like, "Let me see what this is about."
Yeah, and then
as someone who's played every RPG, let me see this. What's this about?
And
25% into this book, I was like, this is just Final Fantasy 14. This is just Final Fantasy 14. I mean, the main character in the book, I mean, I think this is how all of them go, but it's like an RPG, but there's a story, right? And
yeah, he's nobody. He he has to figure it out.
But he gets like cards, which anyone who's played an RPG here totally gets this, right? It's like your Pokemon cards or whatever. It's like you get a card and it does an action, it does an ability, it tells you exactly what it does and the cost or the cooldown or whatever. And I was just like, this is just Final Fantasy. Like, if you like this and if you want more of this,
yeah, you can be the one doing these
yeah,
things.
it could be you. You could be the main character.
I think that was playing the older games let me understand like what an RPG is and how it works, which was very confusing. I just didn't understand like turn-based, like what do you mean? And it seemed confusing and boring at the same time. Because I really didn't understand it. And so that broke it down and then also showed me like, wow, that format lets you fold in like crazy stories.
Yes.
Like even the old games, the Chrono Trigger, Earthbound.
That's why I play them.
Mother 3, the stories that get thrown in there are incredible. And
that's why I play games, man.
Yeah, but then the idea of like playing online and how big Final Fantasy 14 is, it just felt very overwhelming. But I really love the book series so much that was kind of the bridge between like, okay, so this is what's happening and how it works, and it made it so accessible when then I logged in and made my character and stuff and
so
did all that.
So if you're interested, we're definitely gonna do some streams. I don't know when, but we'll start.
That's all just for fun. I mean, you want to stream on your gaming channel.
You heard it here
I'm not trying to do.
Yeah, it'd be on Heather Just Play. We don't need to make it complicated.
No.
But anyway.
Tom's ROMs.
we're enjoying it. Consistent Ash says, my issue is after I have to stay up for like 3 hours because I swear the lights turn on my mind on for too long. It's racing after a stream.
I feel like this is you.
After the couple table, I just want to go like jump around. I'm so excited. But after my gaming streams, I would just like take a nap.
Even when we have like hockey games late at night, you like winding down at night is a problem hard thing.
For me. Yeah. As if my mind isn't already too stimulated. Jawad, hello. Love watching, listening to you guys all the way from Morocco. Nice. Yay. I always do standing if I sit, I'm about to nap, says Mr. Cambridge. Did I know that? Did I know?
Yeah, he's always standing.
Okay, I think I did know that.
Sometimes it's hard to tell because the framing is the same, but when people are standing, the way that they can kind of lean and move, it does give a different feel to how somebody just looks on camera.
Is the mouse better than the Apple trackpad?
So, I'm sorry. I'm going to dive into bonus gear of the week here at the end because I could talk about this more.
He has had it for less than 24 hours.
Okay? The best.
I picked it up at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
No, 1 p.m. yesterday.
Yeah. So 24 hours with the Razer Naga V2 Pro, which is very funny because there's a whole race of people in Jake's Magical Market called the Naga, and they are not good. And so I had to like.
They're also in Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah. Well, they're snake-like people.
Yeah.
But so the whole thing is I'm using my MacBook and I was using the trackpad, which was fine. You use your mouse here, the Logitech MX Master Keys, which is a nice mouse. And you were using a different one, and I was using my Apple Magic Mouse, which is fine. I don't
remember why I bought this one.
You had a mouse that died. I forget what you were using before, but you had one that died.
But I didn't get this for gaming. I just got it
for like work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, cool. And it's so funny because I had seen these and I was like, why would anyone need those? Like, there's no need for a mouse that does that I can turn on. But it has, I don't know if you can see, it has 12 buttons on the side. And listen how clicky they are. Oh, listen to those switches. It's so good.
ASMR.
Yeah. And I've always just used the Magic Mouse. And so I got this and I was like, oh no.
It's not even the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like
So I have this program to do all my Final Fantasy stuff, which is nice because I don't have to like figure out the keyboard. Like I can just do this, which is great. But what's also very cool about this, which I didn't know until I got it, is I'm a guy who likes magnets. Let me turn it off so I don't break anything here.
Yeah, we're like clicking all
through
your
laptop it's not the side panel with the button just snaps off, and it comes with these other plates. One has just 2 clickies and one has 6 buttons, and it's just magnets that snap on right there. And now I have a totally different mouse configuration, which then I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't have to just be games.
The gaming mouse.
Yeah, I can use Final Cut shortcuts. I can use Ecamm shortcuts. Like you have 6 things here. Each of these could be an
program
Ecamm
to be
scene.
whatever. Yeah,
Like,
it's like a stream deck on your thumb.
Yes, and that is kind of
He's
awesome.
so excited.
I'm so excited about it. It was very hard though, because the thing I learned though is that the Mac does not really support many mice, much less MMO mice. So you have to kind of do like a few workarounds to get them to work. And that was a little tricky journey.
I feel like that's gonna be a future video there.
Yeah, I was actually I figured it out, and it's like not complicated, but good Lord, you have to synthesize 28 different videos to try to figure out the info you need to just like, how do I make the buttons do what I want them to do?
Video.
Yeah, you could do it in 5 minutes. It could be a 5-minute video, but I don't know if that's like too unrelated to my channel.
Let's see. Andre says Earthbound is awesome. You should try Undertale if you haven't already. So many layers.
Oh yeah, I did start it on the Switch, but then I don't know, we played Yakuza or something. Yeah.
In the pews, just left campus.
Hey.
Happy Friday, happy weekend. Homesick Mac is thank you for today. Got to get some sleep prior to a distant gig tomorrow. Make money to get more gear.
Cool.
Cheers.
Well, have a great gig and a safe travels.
Yes.
And there we go. Time to clear the table.
Well, I'm just going to put this out there.
Okay.
Because everyone who watches the couples table is pretty dope.
Everyone's dopes. Sorry.
Okay, wow. Putting words in my mouth. But because we always talk about the things that we're excited about. If you want to play Final Fantasy XIV, you could actually play the first 3 expansions and the base game. Wait, the base game and the first Heaven's Ward, Stormblood. And the 2 expansions for free.
Wait, all of that is free? I know I sound like an ad right now, but like, I thought only A Realm Reborn was free.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
Heaven's Ward is free, Stormblood is free.
That's like, sorry, this sounds like an ad. That's like 70 hours of gaming or more.
So Sean is watching. If any like Final Fantasy 14 person saw you right now, this is the meme. Is like, did you know that you can get this for free? Like the free trial, blah 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 blah. But I'm serious though. If you want to give it a try, someone who has never been a gamer in the sense of the word that I would use it, loves it.
And it can work on Mac.
And it can work on Mac if you have a Mac.
There's an official Mac client. There's an unofficial one too, which is good. I had some graphic issues with it.
But you can play for free.
You can play for free for a lot of hours.
And we can like play in game and have the best time ever. So, join us. It's a super fun game.
It is fun.
Let's see. Kathy's here. Team replay. Tom, text me that mouse link.
Oh, will do. It's so good. It's good.
Are the buttons like a mouse stream deck? Yes.
Yeah, I mean they're not like little screens, but this one specifically has like optical switches, and so it's very.
I'll pay to see Tom play Elden Ring or Skyrim.
Oh Lord.
I can tell you right now, it's not your type of game. Both of those, either of those.
I'm digging Final Fantasy, and I'm not even to the like good parts yet.
It's a vibe, you know. It's like, I feel like those are too fantasy / medieval for your, your type.
I could see that.
Sean is confirming, yes, it is. I'll just on the game now.
Download, hop on.
Yeah, Gil, if you end up playing, if anyone here starts playing Final Fantasy 14, please send us a message so we can
just feel the button.
Congrats on 150. That sounds fun. Final Fantasy 14. Mr. Camera Junkie, join us.
All right, there we go. Finley has been in the chair the whole time.
Oh,
by the way,
there he is.
All right, let's take care of this audio version and then go get some ice cream.
Yeah. So for all of you who listen to the audio podcast, look what I'm gonna do. I'm going to publish the audio version for tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Should we do Saturdays?
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. Ha. Let's see. It's not paper or silver, perhaps wire. What are we talking about?
Oh, the 150, like you have your silver anniversary or gold
anniversary. Been playing 14 for about 8 years now.
That is
wow.
Nuts.
Downloading it tonight. Gil, let's go.
Yeah, Gil is an RPG guy.
Zen just got here. Hey, everyone. Happy Friday. Well, we are going to log off, but it was good seeing you.
Not because Zen just got here.
Kathy says, I'm no gamer. Miss Pac-Man was my game of choice in the day. Miss Pac-Man was awesome. We played a Pac-Man at Dave and Buster's that's like as
big
big
one?
as a pool table, and you can have like 10 people all around. And it's
fun.
a giant, games like those kinds of games, arcade games have gotten so insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Do you have a Twitch channel so we can watch you on Final Fantasy? I don't, but I have a YouTube channel. It's called Heather Just Play.
And you can see a lot of Final Fantasy gameplay. Are your live streams still public, your old ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Those are good streams.
The last computer game I played was Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Nice.
Oh my god, my brother was like so
He was the
upset.
tycoon?
He was the Roller Coaster Tycoon. I think one of these days, Tom and I will do a couples table from
The Roller Coaster
Eorzea.
Tycoon. Oh.
We'll probably, I don't know, we'll do it like a gaming couples table. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Just log in. We show you his character that he made.
It took me like 3 hours to figure out a name.
Oh my
stressful.
gosh. So you have to name your character.
Now I'm
first
realizing
and
it's
last
not
name.
as big of a deal as I thought it was. But
Oh my goodness. He was asking ChatGPT. He like, you had like one theme here. You went down that rabbit hole. You had another theme here. You went down that rabbit. It was like naming a dog.
which I'm glad the name I came up with was one I fully came up with. But because you and everybody's like, oh, my character, I spent so much years. And I know there's other people who are like, they're jokes.
Yeah, well, Sean's been playing his character for 8 years. Like, you kind of want a name that you like,
Yeah, I know. And then you were like, oh, but you're in all the cutscenes and your name is in all the dialogue and all the stuff. And I'm just like, oh, here's Mr. Camera Junkie asking for that,
The
mouse
the
link.
mouse.
Yeah, I'll give you my affiliate link. Don't worry,
The last
buddy.
game I played was Space Invaders. I love how this turned into a gaming live stream.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome. All right. So I keep... No one else can probably tell, but I can because I'm your wife. Tom is getting antsy because we're going to Handel's Ice Cream after this, and he's starting to
And
score.
I'm 12.
But Handel's Ice Cream. I think we've talked about
Shout
it.
out, sponsor us.
Do you know what flavor you're getting?
Mud pie. I'm going to try something new today.
It's coffee based though. You cool with that?
We'll have to try and see. It's Oreo, coffee, and chocolate. Normally, I'm a brownie dough boy, which is great, and I love it. But I want to, I need to venture out of my realm.
Yeah. So
and
the flavor I
explore.
get is called O Dough, and it's vanilla base with Oreo and cookie dough.
Yeah, it's so good. It's all so good.
All right. So here, ice cream. Yeah. All right. Here we go, guys.
All right.
Thank you for 150 fun, super fun episode streams, hangouts. It's the couples table is something we look forward to every single week. We're fun. We're excited to make it more fun and level things up. And it's really cool that we have this place to talk about content creation and life stuff and business stuff with other people who kind of just get it. So.
Yeah. Thank you for being around the whole time. And stay tuned for next week when we will be using
We are going to stream
the
with
ZV-E10.
this.
We're going to actually be moving your camera.
Yes, I'm very nervous. But you know what? If I like it, maybe we get it.
Maybe we get it. Yeah. So see how that levels things up. What if it's what if it's totally different? Anyway, we'll see.
Well,
Everybody go get your ice cream.
We can't do a side by side.
No, we can do screenshots and compare.
We'll figure it out. All right, cool.
All right.
All right, we will see you next week. Bye,
Have
everybody.
safe, have fun, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.